Dale Earnhardt Jr. loves Bristol. He made that perfectly clear last year when wrapping up the broadcast after an exciting night race.
This used to be our best-selling ticket, and now we've come to the point to where they think they need to put dirt on top of it to put on a great show. But we're back to being able to show people what this racetrack can do, and it's amazing to me that as much has happened here tonight in the history of this racetrack, we've never replicated it anywhere else. You just can't. The place is just so unique. So I think that's pretty amazing.
Unfortunately, this year's race was a very different story in the next-gen car. Junior said as much this week on his podcast. He bluntly admitted the only reason the race on Saturday night proved to be entertaining wasn't because of the on-track action, but more embarrassingly, because so many cars suffered from a variety of issues, including flat tires and steering problems. What's interesting is months ago, Earnhardt predicted we'd be here.
I mean, there's probably going to be some part failures or things that need to be beefed up, and NASCAR will have to go to these, these entities that are selling whatever part it is and have to redesign it or improve the design on it. And I think that they'll try to get those parts out as quick as possible. But we're going to see completely different loads, and the car will be stressed in different ways when we go to these next several racetracks than what we saw at Daytona. So I think we all need to be prepared, for this to be a little bit of a process, right? Working the bugs out of this car and finding flaws in it, right, that need fixing. So don't everybody get all alarmed when something does become a reoccurring issue, right? It's just I think it might be too much for us to expect them to design a car that's completely flawless right out of the gate. It's going to have, its problems.
He's right. The development and improvement of the next-gen car has been a process, a painful one at times. Drivers have complained since the drop of the green flag at Daytona in February about the increased intensity of impacts. Kurt Busch is missing his 10th race this weekend at Texas from a concussion, and whether or not he ever returns remains uncertain. We've seen more than a dozen loose wheels this year. With such frequency, even the average fan knows that infraction equals a 4-race suspension for the crew chief. That problem appeared to be waning in recent weeks until rearing its ugly head a couple of times this past weekend at Bristol. We've seen numerous cars catch on fire, Kevin Harvick being the latest at Darlington, and he understandably got hot after the race. And we've seen tire issues. As mentioned, flats at Bristol were a thing on Saturday night. Unfortunately, this isn't anything new. If you'll recall, they were problematic earlier in the year. Remember when the cars were bottoming out after getting a flat and couldn't drive back to the garage, but instead had to be towed? In other words, tire issues have been prevalent for most of the season. On the surface, that wouldn't appear to be a serious problem, at least not as serious as a loose wheel getting into the stands. While a loose wheel could seriously injure or even worse kill someone, Dale Earnhardt Jr. suggested this week on his podcast that the current tires on the next-gen car are doing something significantly worse. They're killing the product on short tracks. Jr. reviewed the weekend at Bristol and said the race wasn't entertaining for a simple reason: tires. He said the tire is too fast and too durable. It needs to wear out and slow down, so the laps get slower over a run. That didn't happen on Saturday night. And Earnhardt pointed the finger straight at Goodyear. He said the tire company always errs on the side of caution by providing a durable tire with less fall off since the 2008 debacle at Indianapolis, when the tires disintegrated so fast it produced cautions and pit stops almost every 10 laps. The tire manufacturer obviously doesn't want a repeat of that, but Junior said they must be held accountable.
I think that a lot of pressure needs to be put on Goodyear to try to really truly understand how they can be a better asset in that situation. They brought a tire that was great, durable, great tire, but it doesn't put on a good race. Plain and simple.
Is that the short track problem this car's having? Do you think that's contributing largely to it?
At Bristol, at Martinsville, the cars are way too fast. There's way too much grip. So the cars can go way too fast through the corner. And a lot of that has to do with the tire and the size of the tire. So we made the tires bigger. We put a bigger contact patch on the ground. On all four corners, you've added more rubber to the road. And anytime you put more surface on, tire surface on the racetrack, you're going to have more grip, ability to really go faster in any situation, any scenario. And so this is something that can't really be changed. But in my mind, going to a wider, bigger tire was a massive mistake. You can't go back, right?
Can't go back now, yeah. I guess not.
It's all, we've got everybody's paid for the wheels. Goodyear's paid for the engineering and development. There's the brakes and all that stuff that would have to change. It's not going back. But to go to this short sidewall, typically a road course, IMSA style setup for an oval race car was a bad choice in my mind. I would have never, when we went to Goodyear to see the tires being made before they ever were on the racetrack, I thought, why would you want to do this? Why would you want to make more? Why would you want to put more tire? We're trying to figure out how to get the guys off throttle, lifting, sliding around, struggling, fighting with these cars, and we're going to give them a more tire and better, give them more grip. It just seemed to be a contrast to what really was trying to be achieved in terms of a racing product on the racetrack.
Earnhardt agreed that the overall racing product in the next-gen car has been better. There have been numerous exciting races throughout the year with plenty of passing and lots of drama late on last-lap moves, but those have all come at mile-and-a-half tracks or bigger. The short tracks, like Bristol, and the only remaining one on the schedule, Martinsville, have been complete duds. Based on what Earnhardt said, he knew this was going to be a problem before it became a problem. And now, unfortunately, the track that he's been such a huge advocate for in the past, even he acknowledged it's hard to push for NASCAR to include more like it on the schedule when the car, and specifically the tire, is not conducive to entertaining racing. NASCAR has already released the 2023 schedule. They are already working on making improvements to the car for next year. As Earnhardt suggested, let's hope that they hold Goodyear's feet to the fire and ensure that they come up with a different tire setup for the short tracks next year. Or we'll be stuck with the same boring product where only cautions and car issues will save the day. Everyone can agree that's not a fun way to watch a race.